and welcome to the garage. In this video, we are going to discuss electric vehicle speak. This is for you non-electric vehicle folks that are interested in electric vehicles but may not understand all the weird terms used by electric vehicle people. So let's get into it. First term you need to know, electric vehicle. Well, that's a long word. Technically, it's a battery electric vehicle, but us electric vehicle people don't call it a battery electric vehicle. Wow, look at that, the battery electric vehicle. Well, too long. Generally, we called our cars EV, stands for electric vehicles. However, a true electric vehicle is a battery-powered electric vehicle. That's an electric vehicle that you charge yourself at home and drive 300 miles for the day, and when you get home, you plug it in again and you go again. So you'll want to call an electric vehicle an EV. Just say, hey, look at that, that's a cool looking EV. EVs are everywhere nowadays, and they're becoming more and more prevalent. All manufacturers are delving into it. Bigger manufacturers are really producing lots and lots of EVs, and you're going to see lots and lots of them over the next year or so. So remember, hey, there goes an EV. The next thing you need to know about an EV is an EV is charged, not filled up. I know you've been doing your fossil fuel, gas, and diesel just like I did for 40 years. And I used to say, yeah, I need to go down to the corner and fill up. Well, we don't say that being an EV anymore, because remember, an EV has a battery in it. Very much like your cell phone, but about 1,000 times larger than your cell phone battery. That allows that electric vehicle to drive 300 miles on a charge. However, an EV, you don't fill it up. There's nothing to fill up. But what you do is you charge it. You charge it very much like your cell phone. You plug it in at night, and it charges up overnight, and you drive it the next day and drive your 300 miles. Or you charge it overnight, and if you have a smaller charger, maybe you'll get 150 miles. But it really depends on how much power you have at your home using your standard electrical system that comes right out of your electric box, the same electricity that runs your television and your stove and those kinds of things in your house. So you'll want to say, hey, John, plug in the EV so it'll charge. Or, hey, Linda, would you please plug in the EV? It needs to charge tonight. Remember, you charge your EV, you don't fill it up. An EV is a little different. No, it's a lot different than a fossil fuel car. I call them fossil fuel cars because that's exactly what they are. They run on old dinosaur juice pumped out of the ground, and you burn it in your fossil fuel car. And so that's what I call it. I'm sorry, but it's a fossil fuel car. However, a fossil fuel car does not have regen. Regen is a term used, and it's a shortened term for regeneration. Regeneration in an EV allows you to recuperate or regenerate some of the forward kinetic energy that you use going down the road. So let me give you an example. So I'm driving down the road and I see a red light. When I take my foot off of the accelerator pedal, not the gas pedal, the car begins to slow down. This slow down is created by the electric motors turning to generators, generating voltage and current enough to put back into that battery, and at the same time it will slow your vehicle down. One pedal driving uses regen to make this happen. Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about one pedal driving yet. That's next. But regeneration is a portion and the main reason you want to have one pedal driving. So let me give you another example. You're driving down the highway, you get to the top of the hill, and you crest the hill, and now you're going down the other side of the hill. What do you do normally in your fossil fuel car? Well, you put on the brake. Well, of course, that slows you down, no problem. The physics of a brake pedal, however, is friction. The energy used by your fossil fuel car to get that car going, to get it to the top of the hill, will allow it to get there no trouble. However, when you get over the top of the hill and you start going down, you're going to pick up more and more speed. What do you have to do? You have to apply the brake pedal. The brake pedal engages what's called the brakes, which then create friction at each wheel. You apply the brakes, and that friction then will slow the car down. But when it does that, all of the kinetic energy in you going downhill is now converted to heat. You know, you've had your brakes get really hot because you ride your brakes. That's exactly what happens. That extra energy you use to get to the top of the mountain is now being wasted at the brake pedal. In an EV, it's different. We use regeneration to recuperate or regenerate the forward kinetic energy. That's the motion going forward, and we turn it back into voltage and current, which charges that battery. And so I will gain quite a bit of my energy that I use going up of the hill to go down the hill using regeneration. And I never have to touch the friction brakes in an EV. You use regeneration as part of the one pedal driving. So let's talk a little bit about one pedal driving. One pedal driving is exactly what it sounds like. Now, in a fossil fuel car, I press the accelerator, or you call it the gas pedal. I then move the car along, and when I want to stop, I have to take my foot off the gas pedal and I put it onto the brake, which then stops or slows down the car. In an electric vehicle or an EV, I use one pedal driving and regeneration. So I use an accelerator pedal, not a gas pedal, and that accelerator pedal starts moving my car forward. Now, depending upon the pressure, you push hard or you push a little bit. Like if I want it to go fast, you push your pedal all the way down. If you want to go slower, you push it just slightly. A one pedal driving experience in an EV is like this. I want to go forward, I press the accelerator. The car starts moving forward. The minute I let go of the accelerator pedal, I then will start slowing down. And why? Because the car takes that forward kinetic energy instead of applying brakes. It will actually use the motors as generators and charge that energy back into my battery. And as a result, I slow down. So what's very cool with one pedal driving is I accelerate, and then I see a red light up there, I take my foot off slightly and I slow down a little bit and I watch it and I watch it, and then all of a sudden I get to a point where it's now green. Now I push a little bit more on the accelerator and there I go. Now I've lost very, very, very little of my energy using one pedal driving. And remember, you accelerate and decelerate using your one pedal only, without ever touching the brake pedal. Now, if you need to stop because a dog or something ran out on the road, the brake is in every EV, you just push the brake. The car comes to an immediate stop. But if you're in normal driving conditions and you're driving along, you see the lights turned red, you come off of the accelerator, it slows the car down, and it's linear. What I mean by that is if I come off a little bit, it'll slow down and it'll stay at that speed until I accelerate and I get a little bit faster and then I slow down a little bit. One pedal driving is the best thing since sliced bread. It is so cool. On my channel here, I've got several videos where I demonstrate one pedal driving where I go up a hill. You can be going up a hill and take your foot off the accelerator, and what happens? Is it rolling backwards? No, it's not. It just comes to a stop and stops on the hill. When I'm ready to go again, what do? I push on the accelerator and the car then moves forward. So it makes it very easy. How about going downhill? Same thing. I can be coming down a hill, providing I'm not going too fast and I may have to use the friction brakes. But if I'm paying attention and using the one pedal driving, I drive down that hill, I slow down by taking my foot off the accelerator, and the car will slow down proportionally, and I will then come to a complete stop. I may be on a hill this steep, and my car is at a dead stop. No brake, no nothing. When I want to go again, what do? I press the accelerator slightly and the car moves forward. And at what point, if I've stopped and I need to back up, you say? No problem. Put it in reverse, press the accelerator, and what happens? The car just backs up. There's no shifting, no nothing, because in an electric car, there is no transmission. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that. There is 20 moving parts in my entire electric car. That's 10 in the front and 10 in the back because it's a dual motor car. But one pedal driving is the thing to use. Traffic, no matter what you're doing, one pedal driving. You accelerate and decelerate using your one pedal driving. So we've covered regen and one pedal driving, kind of the same thing. Let's talk a little bit about funny sayings. What do you think? Hey, John, let's juice up the car. What do you think that means? Well, let me tell you what it means. It means to charge the car. Yeah, it's a funny saying. People use it all the time, like, hey, let's juice it up. Well, in an EV, when I say, hey, Sue, why don't you juice up the car? We're going to need it later. That doesn't mean she opens the hood and works on it. She just plugs it in and starts a charge cycle on the car. That's what juice it up means. Now, what if I say, hey, I left my gloves in the Frunk? Yeah, that's F-R-U-N-K. So, hey, Pete, I left my gloves in the Frunk. Would you go get them? What do you think that means? Well, you've heard of a trunk, right? Well, a trunk is typically in the back. The guys from the UK call them boots, okay? And in North America, we call it a trunk. But a frunk kind of sounds like trunk. What the heck does that mean? Well, I got news for you. It stands for front trunk. Yes, there is a front trunk in an EV. You say, well, how in the heck's that possible? That's where the engine goes. Well, I got news for you. There is no engine like a fossil fuel car in an EV. Yeah, there are a few EV companies that chose to put all the stuff up in where the engine compartment is, but for most other EVs, there is what's called a frunk, and that is the front trunk. Yep. I usually, when I show my EV off to people, I usually say to them, hey, you want to see the engine? And they all go, yeah. And I open up the frunk, and what's there? As you can see here on the picture, it's just a gigantic storage area. It's great. It's wonderful to have even more storage in an EV than your fossil fuel car. And if you look at it, I got way more storage in my EVs than you have in your fossil fuel car, because I don't have a stinking engine up front. I have storage. And in the very back, I don't have a gas tank, so I also have a rear trunk with a well in the back that you could almost sit in and close the lid. It's that large. So there's huge amounts of storage in an EV because you don't have gas tanks and engines and that kind of junk. So you learned a new word, frunk. What's a hybrid? Holy crap. What is a hybrid? A hybrid is a Legacy Auto's attempt at making an electric vehicle by taking a gasoline engine and putting a generator on it and using electric motors to drive it. Now, what good is that? The only benefit in my book is that stop and go traffic, instead of wasting huge amounts of gas or diesel going from light to light, the electric motor pushes you along and gets the mass of that car moving before the engine starts and runs the electric motor. It's better in traffic, okay, I'll give you that, but you still have all the maintenance in a gasoline car, oil changes, transmission, all that stuff. So while I'm on this, let's talk about one more vehicle. They call it a PHEV. It stands for plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Yeah, it's your standard hybrid type of vehicle, but you can plug it in. So what they've done is they've increased the size of the tiny battery in a hybrid and made it so you can go 20 miles or 15 miles or 30 miles if you plug it in and charge it. It's yet another attempt to use a fossil fuel engine, transmission, and try to make it electric-like. The downside with it, in my opinion, you got all the darn maintenance. You got to change the oil and the transmission and all that stuff in it. You might as well just drive a fossil fuel car, because other than getting a little bit more mileage and being able to plug in a PHEV, it's not a battery electric or a standard EV. Buy an electric vehicle, EV. Battery electric vehicle is what you want. That you charge at home, have no maintenance. My Tesla has a 1,000,000-mile mechanism. It has absolutely no scheduled maintenance. So, you know what? I plug it in at home, I drive it and drive it and drive it, and yeah, I got to put windshield washer fluid in it, but you know what? I think I can handle that. I hope you learned a little bit about the type of speak that EV folks use. And I hope that then when you get to see an EV, and I hope you get to drive an EV, because I will tell you, once you drive an electric vehicle, you do not want to go back to a fossil fuel car. Mainly, you charge it at home and never have to visit a fossil fuel station ever again. Find somebody with an EV. Now you have a little bit of the speak. Ask them to look into their Frunk, and they'll be happy to show you. Drive one and you'll really love it. So that about wraps up your lesson on EVs today. If you like this video, go ahead and click the like, click subscribe, and if you want to see more of my videos going forward, click the little bell icon. If you'd like to buy yourself a Tesla EV, the referral link is shown at the bottom of the screen that gets you 1,000 free miles of supercharging or 1,500 kilometers of supercharging when you purchase your car using that link. Thank you very much for watching. I'll look for you again, and take care.